Facts First presents. Over 25 years tending to this mystery vet's grave, a stranger has finally dug up his story. Help us spread the word about Facts First by clicking that like button. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Wayne Hawthorne is a kind man from Staffordshire in the UK. He lived in a town called Cannock in the West Midlands of England. His home was close to the Cannock Chase Cemetery, and it was a place where he often took his walks to visit his grandparents' graves. On a walk one day, he noticed the grave of an Australian airman that was unattended. The grass was overgrown around the headstone, and there were no flowers planted. Being the nice, caring guy that he is, Wayne decided to pay his respects by cleaning up the grave, something that he's now done for many years. The grave that Wayne started caring for was the grave of a member of the Royal Australian Air Force, John Benjamin Burrows. He decided to take care of the grave because John Burrows was from Australia, which meant that he was buried far from home. This likely meant that his family never had a chance to visit the grave. It's likely why it was in such poor shape. He says that he cared for the grave out of respect. Wayne says the fact that John Burrows was so far from home resonated with him because of the fact that he was buried in England. The man was from Australia and traveled to England to fight in the war, and his body was never returned home. The 21-year-old soldier was buried in a foreign city with strangers around him. Wayne says it kind of broke his heart that the man never had a chance to go home. For over 25 years, Wayne took care of this fallen soldier's grave. He was a great person for the job because he worked as a greenskeeper for a local golf course, so he knew what he was doing. He had excellent skills, and he used them to make the fallen soldier's grave look nice. First, he stripped the area to make it level. Next, he planted bulbs to match the season. Twice a month, depending on how fast the grass would grow, he'd visit the grave to keep it up. After over 2 decades of keeping this fallen soldier's grave neat, Wayne began to wonder about the man a bit more. All he knew was that he had served in the RAAF and that he died April 5, 1943. He couldn't help but wonder why the man was buried in Cannock, many miles away from his home. Wayne wanted to get a few answers to his questions. Unfortunately, Wayne's search for information wasn't going as well as he had hoped. He searched the local news and the internet, and he could only find basic information. When he spoke to somebody from the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, they could only give him the barest details about John Burrows' life and death. The lack of information available was very frustrating for Wayne. Local military researchers Richard Pursehouse and Lee Dent they decided to look into John Burrows for him. After doing some research, the pair managed to get some information about the young airman that was laid to rest in 1943. When the two men showed Wayne a picture of John Burrows, he became very emotional. John was born in July 1921 in Melbourne, Victoria. He grew up with his parents and his 2 sisters. Not much was known about his early life except for the fact that his home was in a well-to-do seaside suburb in Brighton. John agreed to fight in Brighton but ended up in the UK, and it was there that he met Marjorie Preece and fell in love. The couple married and moved to Dartmouth Road in Cannock. It's believed that John was laid to rest in Cannock so that he could be close to his wife. John was serving with the 297 Squadron of the British Royal Air Force. He was stationed a few miles from Andover in Hampshire, which was both an RAF and U.S. Air Force base, and it was there that John set off to his final mission. The night he died, John was involved in a mission over France. He was in an aircraft that was one of 6 that dropped pamphlets in cities and towns. From the first day of World War II, spreading propaganda this way was common, and during his mission, John's plane took on a lot of fire from anti-aircraft batteries, and he started leaking fuel. He had to land the aircraft but struggled due to the fog. That caused confusion, and he crashed the plane. Finally, Wayne had the answers he was looking for. After over 25 years tending to this mystery vet's grave, a stranger has finally dug up the man's story. Now, when he tends the grave, he feels like he knows who he's doing it for. Show your appreciation for our men and women in uniform by clicking that like button and subscribe for more.